Hello, every pony. This is We Are Borg, and I'm here in Los Angeles at Equestria, LA, with the lovely and talented Amy Keating Rogers.
Hello, every pony.
She is a writer, as everyone should know by now, for Season 1 and 2 and Season 4, I believe, coming up. We can't wait to see what you're coming out with next.
I'm excited. Some good stuff.
Are you having fun here today out here in LA?
Lovely Anaheim? Yes, I'm having a very good time.
That's fantastic.
Actually.
You seem to be known for your fantastic roles in writing. In fact, I'm sure everybody has grown up with Amy Keating Rogers in one way or another. She's done shows like Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls and all sorts of shows that I know I personally grew up with. Has writing for shows and animation really just been part of your life forever?
I guess. I mean, that's what my career has been. My professional career has been in animation. I actually trained as an actor, and that was my intention since I was a kid, was to be an actor. And that's what I was a theater major in school and focused on acting. I then got my MFA in acting at Cal Arts. But during that time, I took a playwriting class at my senior year at Occidental College, and then continued writing plays when I was at Cal Arts. And then I had a production assistant job on the Powerpuff Girls when I was trying to pursue acting. And I had a play being produced in Hollywood at the same time I was being a production assistant, and they needed help on Powerpuff with the writing. So Craig McCracken gave me a chance to write, and so I just kind of ended up writing for animation.
Not including My Little Pony. What do you think your most favorite show that you've worked on, you've enjoyed?
I mean, I really enjoyed writing on Powerpuff. It was a very different experience. Powerpuff was, it was wonderful because it was my first show. Powerpuff, as opposed to Pony, which is a scripted show.
Yeah.
Powerpuff was an outline-driven show or a storyboard-driven show, and what that means is that we would have story meetings and I would take notes, and I would then go and write an outline, a very detailed outline, which was then sent to the network, and it was given, notes and things, and then given to the storyboard artist, who would then draw it, and they would do the dialogue. So that's the difference between that kind of show. So that's how Powerpuff worked. That's how Dexter's Lab. That's how Samurai Jack worked. Those were storyboard-driven shows. So they were outline and then storyboard. But Powerpuff was fantastic because I actually wrote one script on Powerpuff. It was called, I forget whether the final title ended up being Molinguish or Molingual, because it started as one and then changed to the other. But that was an episode I fully scripted, and that has Mojo Jojo talking a lot. So as somebody who is... I love dialogue. I got to write Mojo just talking and talking and talking, and it was fantastic. It was actually too long of a script. I had Mojo talking so much, so it had to be cut down. But one of the fantastic things about Powerpuff, even though I didn't get to write scripts, except for that one, was it was such a phenomenon and such a huge hit for Cartoon Network. They had chapter books and comic books and quiz books, and the girls were interviewed in magazines, and all of those things I got to write. So I was the first person to write the chapter books because Craig trusted me enough that he said, okay, if these books are being written, if these comics are being written, I want Amy to do it first, so to lay the groundwork for other writers to then do it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I wrote the first chapter books, the first comics. Anytime the girls were interviewed, if the actors were going to voice it, I wrote it. If it was just their words in a magazine, I wrote it. I wrote a whole, I knew the Powerpuff mythology backwards and forwards. I wrote a whole guide to being a Powerpuff Girls book.
Wow,
so that was a phenomenal experience because I had been taken from this playwriting world thrown into the animation world and then thrown into, writing all sorts of different things while doing that. So it was a fantastic experience because I did a little of everything in that job, and it was cool. Amazing.
What did your friends and family think about your career change? Because as you said, you wanted to be an actor,
right?
And you're kind of stumbled onto this animation thing.
I think they were really happy that I was making a living because my mom specifically wanted me to go to graduate school so that in the event that I couldn't make a living as a professional actor, I could become a teacher. My mom was a math professor. So she said, I want you to get your master's so that if this acting thing doesn't work out, you can get a job at a college. So when this opportunity came up, she was thrilled. And I think, my father was thrilled. Everybody was thrilled that I was able to pay my bills. So they were very happy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now you're working on Friendship is Magic,
yes.
season 4.
Mm-hmm.
I believe are you still doing Care Bears?
No, Care Bears season 1 is finished. And from what I've heard, if there is a season 2, it may not happen until, I've heard, it may not even start writing until March of 2014. And that's the rumor I've heard. So,
any other works you're working on?
There are, but it's not. I'm working on things that I can't talk about. I have things that I'm developing for various companies and things like that.
Secrets and mysteries. Hopefully,
yes.
we'll get to see some of those in the future.
I hope so, because I always hope. There are things I'm writing and pitching around with different companies. I'm paired with artists. There are people who have ideas and they can draw, but they need a writer to help them flesh out their ideas. So I'm doing that with people.
I was noticing, looking at some of the episodes you've written on, a lot of them have songs by Pinkie Pie. And I was wondering if you had anything to do with that.
How do you mean?
Anything from? I know you came up with the Cranky Doodle Donkey song.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if maybe there was any other songs that you thought, hey, we need a song right here, or is it just an amazing coincidence?
Well, it was in that whole episode of A Friend Indeed, we knew we wanted to have Pinkie singing a song. Mm-hmm. And so specifically in that episode, that was, we wanted Pinkie singing an epic song about that she likes to make people smile.
Of course.
And so that was one of our goals with that. And then in the story meeting, we knew he was going to be named Cranky Donkey. And then when and we wanted him to have an embarrassing middle name, and we were it was me, Lauren Faust, and Rob Renzetti. We were spitballing, what's his middle name going to be, blah, 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 blah. And then Rob Renzetti said Doodle. And, the light bulbs just went.
Clicked for you.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, with Cranky Doodle Donkey, I could do the songs that I did. It was just perfect.
Just perfect.
Yeah.
Any other of the other songs come out like that?
The welcome song just, kind of, it all kind of fell into place. With Pinkie, I could always write a song. Pinkie, I sing little ditties all the time in my life. Mm-hmm. I actually, I had a pitch meeting yesterday, and it was for a possible development thing. And I read this man's material, and I was then, and I kind of wrote out my ideas of what I was going to talk to them about, of what I would bring to the project and all this stuff. And then I was sitting in the back of my car. It was raining. And so my son and I were sitting in the back of the car while my daughter was at her math tutoring. And so I was practicing my ukulele in the back of the car. And all of a sudden, I had this idea for a song for this pitch, and it just kind of came into my head, a song, and then I sang it at the pitch meeting yesterday, and they were like, oh my gosh, nobody's ever come in and just sang a ukulele song, and I'm like, yeah, but I do. And they loved it, which was awesome. But it just kind of popped in my head, and so to be able to do, that's part of what happens in my brain. So
That's cool.
being able to do that with Pinky
That's pretty cool.
that I get to express that through Pinky is really wonderful.
Well, I have a two-part question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was the favorite episode that you wrote, and what was the favorite episode you didn't write?
My favorite episode that I wrote that has aired is A Friend Indeed. Because of all that music.
Because of all that music.
Yeah, and because it's all Pinky, and because Pinky's goofy, and because I get to, channel my inner Pinky.
That was a fantastic Pinkie Pie episode.
However, that said, my favorite episodes, and I gotta say episodes are coming up. The episodes that I wrote for season 4, I'm so excited about, and I can't wait.
So are we.
I hope you guys like them. I'm really excited. And the ones that I didn't write, I really like Hurricane Fluttershy. I really like that one.
That was cool.
So.
That's nice. Now you mentioned that Pinkie Pie is one of your favorite characters to write for. Do you have a character that you might find difficult to write for, or they just kind of flow from you, and you just really are fond of Pinkie Pie? And
all of them now, as when I came back for season 4, it was like coming back to old friends. And it was like, oh my gosh, I get to come and play with you guys
That's
again.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was so wonderful, just because they're in my head now and I get them, and it was fantastic. In season 1, everything was a little rougher, obviously, because you're figuring out all the voices. And at that time, Rarity was really rough for me. Everybody, thank goodness, everybody at the cons tells me that they really enjoy Dog and Pony Show. I'm so glad, because that was such a hard episode to write, because I was trying to balance Rarity's attitude and not making her the right kind of pain in the butt, where you're still going to like her and not just think, why do I even care? You wanted to care enough, you didn't want it to be, the Diamond Dogs, they should just keep her there forever, and I don't even care anymore. You
Right.
wanted her to be saved. You wanted, there had to be that, otherwise what's the point of the episode? And that was and I'm glad that I achieved that, and
There's
I'm glad.
a lot of Spike in that episode too.
Yeah. And that's true. Yeah, being able to, but he got to be, it was his heroic vision of himself. So that was a lot of fun of him getting to be, kind of his superhero
cool.
self. But yeah, Rarity at the beginning. Now Rarity, I totally get.
You totally get her.
So all of them, I get much better.
On your other shows, have you ever had just a character that you really liked writing for, maybe for your other shows? Maybe like for Samurai Jack, or are there other characters that in your other shows that you've done, that ones that you've liked a lot more? I noticed that you mentioned in your Powerpuff Girls, the Mojo Jojo, you had a lot of dialogue for him.
Right.
And he was a fantastic villain.
Right.
Any notable characters in your career that
I like? I mean, writing, I'd have to say that, whenever I got to write interviews with the 3 Powerpuff Girls, and just getting to writing Bubbles, and Bubbles, it has lots of similar elements to Pinkie Pie. Getting to write Bubbles was fun, and just getting to balance the 3 Powerpuff Girls, bounce them off of each other, was always a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us here
Sure.
at Equestria, LA.
Absolutely.
I'm We Are Borg, and this is Amy Keating Rogers.
Hi.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.